In this recording, we're going to practice translating phrases, word phrases, into algebra expressions. And I'll tell you what my goal is and what my goal is not. We are not going to do a comprehensive list of all the vocabulary words you should know in order to be able to do this. So all the different English words that we can use that can be translated into addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, for example. So make sure that you are looking elsewhere for that list of vocabulary terms or creating a dictionary of terms. But what I do want to talk about is a couple of examples plus two tricky spots. So we'll start with this first one, twice the sum of a number and 3. And the first tricky spot I want to talk about here is the word sum. You've probably heard that sum means not addition, but the answer to addition. And the corresponding word for subtraction is difference. But these words cannot be just directly turned into a plus sign or a minus sign when we're doing this, because they don't mean this plus that. What they mean is this plus that, the answer to this plus that, or this plus that first. And in other words, they mean use a grouping symbol. So whenever you see the word sum or difference, you need to think, somebody needs to go inside some parentheses, with a plus sign, surely, but it needs to have some parentheses. So let's get more specific here. When I say twice, I hope you know that means 2 times. Twice what? 2 times what? 2 times the sum. So that sum is going to be what's multiplied by 2, but that sum is going to be some things being added together. What are the things that are going to be added together? The of tells us sum of what? A number and 3. So there's going to be a number. I don't know what the number is. One popular thing to do in that case is to write n for a number, or we could write x. In either case, we use a variable. And 3, so we're going to take those two things and we're going to add them together. Now, what I've demonstrated here is kind of the rough cut of how you translate a sentence into a mathematical expression, so an English sentence into an algebra expression. Notice that my sentence here is, my expression is a little bit sloppy. It's not too bad, but I had to kind of do some predicting. I put the parentheses far apart so that I could fill in what I was adding together there. But I did put this 2 times, which we wouldn't normally write. So it's a good idea, once you've kind of got a rough idea of what the expression looks like, to rewrite it. 2 times n plus 3 in parentheses. And there we have our expression. Okay. Well, I've gotten a little sloppy here, and I covered up the next questions. Let's go on to the next question here. So for this one, we're going to do a second trick, and that is this phrase, less than. Less than. Less than means subtract. Okay, which you probably didn't need me to tell you that. But less than is one of these weird ones where it breaks the rules of grammar. So normally when we have a word for subtract here, we just directly translate 5 subtract minus 6 times a number, let's call it x. Okay, but when we say less than, that turns it around. Less than says take that 5 and subtract it away from what comes after. So 5 taken away from the thing that comes after. So we're going to turn this all around, and we'll get our eraser out and redo this. So less than means subtract, but it also means subtract in kind of the opposite order of the way things are presented. And that's the exception that proves the rule, because normally when we do our translation, we're going to translate in the order that it's written. Okay, so 5 less than then means 5 subtracted from something. So minus 5 at the end. Subtracted from what? Well, 6 times a number. So 6 times a number, let's call it x, and there it is. And again, we can rewrite this if we want to. 6x minus 5, and put a box around it. But that's how we think through these problems. Notice that they take a little bit of extra thinking. Let me do one more example. This one I got from my textbook, but it's a little bit goofy. It says the product of two numbers is 18. Now, what does that mean? The product of two numbers. Okay, product is actually one of those terms like sum and difference. Product means multiplication, but it means the answer to multiplication, and quotient means division. Get my I in there. Okay, but the product of two numbers is 18. That sentence means that we're going to take two numbers, and let's just call them x and y for now. X times y equals 18. Okay. Now, if the two numbers multiply together, it's 18. And then the second sentence says one of the numbers is x. So good call, we guessed right. X is x. One of the numbers is x. What's the other number? Now, the answer here is not to say y. X is one number, the other number must be y. That's not what the question is looking for. The question is saying, can you write an expression for that second number using what you know about the relationship between the two numbers and the variable that we have for that first number? So let's just play around with this for just a minute. We have x plus times y. So we know the relationship between multiplication and division is, if you take two numbers, multiply them together, you get the answer. If you take the answer, divide by either one of the numbers, you'll get the other number. So we could say x equals 18 divided by y, and y equals 18 divided by x. And there is an expression for that second number, y 18 divided by x. We can write that like this, y equals 18 divided by x. We could write y equals 18 over x. And then remember that y doesn't really exist. Like nobody ever told us that one of the numbers is y. We just kind of made that up as a placeholder to help us to talk about that second number without keep having to say the second number all the time. So that's not part of my answer, because I made up the letter y, the variable y, to help me think about that number that I'm trying to describe. But but the question didn't say that the number is y, so I'm just going to say the answer is, or the expression for the other number is 18 over x, or I could say 18 divided by x. Either one is fine. All right, well, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day, and go make a dictionary of English words that translate into math terms, or expressions, math symbols. There you go. Thanks for watching.